He is risen. He is risen indeed. This has been the traditional greeting of the church for almost 2 millennia now. And here we are on Easter Sunday morning, April 12th, 2020. It's a bit chilly this morning. It would definitely be a chilly morning for a fire outside, but it would be so wonderful to be celebrating with my fellow believers. But it is Easter of 2020, a very different Easter as we think about what the disciples might have been feeling at this time in the dark, not exactly knowing what was going to happen next. They had been sequestered all day on Saturday, and this morning, as I look at the iPad, I also see the moon up there, just absolutely gorgeous this morning. The birds are singing. I can hear the woodpeckers pecking away, and it's just a beautiful morning. And this morning, the fact that the world is the way it is today in 2020 does not negate the fact that Christ has risen from the dead. Christ has risen from the dead. And that is so cool this morning to remember that ultimately Christ has the victory over sin, death, and the grave. Yeah, you can tell I'm excited this morning. John chapter 20, Pam and I, a little later during the service, will be via video, via YouTube and Facebook, we'll be sharing a little bit about this passage from John 20. But early in the morning, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and found that the stone had been rolled away. She ran and found Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved. She said, "They've taken the Lord's body out of the tomb, and we don't know where they've put him." Peter and the other disciple started out for the tomb. They were both running, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. He stooped and looked in and saw the linen wrappings lying there, but he didn't go in. Then Simon Peter arrived and went inside. He noticed the linen wrappings lying there, while the cloth had covered Jesus was folded up and lying apart from the other wrappings. Then the disciple who had reached the tomb first also went in, and he saw and believed, for until then they hadn't understood that the scriptures that said that Jesus must rise from the dead. And then they went home. Then they believed. John's passages a lot talk about belief, and is when they saw the empty tomb and the wrappings, then they believed. Jesus Christ has risen from the dead, just as he said. But I want you to see what happens next. Because John and Peter do not see Jesus. But Mary was standing outside the tomb crying. And as she wept, she stooped in and looked in, and she saw 2 white-robed angels sitting at the head of the other, at the foot of the place where the body of Jesus had been lying. "Dear woman, why are you crying?" the angels asked her. "Because they have taken away my Lord," she said, "and I don't know where they have put him." She turned to leave and saw someone standing there. It was Jesus, but she didn't recognize him. "Dear woman, why are you crying?" Jesus asked her, "Who are you looking for?" She thought he was the gardener. "Sir," she said, "if you have taken him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will go get him." Mary. Jesus simply says her name, Mary. And she turns to him and cried out, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Here he is. Jesus is alive. "Don't cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go find my brothers and tell them I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene found the disciples and told them, "I have seen the Lord." Then she gave him his message. It is a gorgeous, chilly morning. It's so quiet. I mean, I'm standing here and I haven't heard a car go by in the whole time, which would be very unusual even on a Sunday morning. But he is risen. He is risen indeed. It's the hope that we have had for 2,000 years as Christians. And today, even though we're separate, I encourage you to join in an online worship service somewhere. Come find McCray Brooks. We'll be worshiping together. He is risen. He is risen indeed.